Good morning, everyone. And thank you very, very much to all of you who are here in person and also joining virtually. We're very, very excited to bring back our Chelsea Women's Club. This is our first in-person, having an in-person component for the Chelsea Women's Club since the pandemic. So we're really, really happy that you're here and that you're able to enjoy meeting one another and also enjoy this. So welcome. Also, I wanted to kind of point out that this is our recently reinvented Mystic branch, and as you can see, it's beautifully redone. And any of you who are familiar with our Center Groton branch, this is kind of modeled after it. It's sort of the bank of the future, and one of the of the reinvented model that we are implementing in Mystic and some of our other branches in the future is really the pillar of education. And that really embodies one of the key aspects of our Chelsea Women's Club. So really what we try to do for the women business community, women professionals, business owners, and in other fields of business is bring topics that are really relevant, that can help them grow their business, that can help them with the challenges that they face in their business, and bring a keynote speaker who's a real expert on that topic to be able to kind of illuminate this topic in a very digestible format. So that's one of the key elements of the Chelsea Women's Club. The other is really the opportunity for networking and to really bring in women within the community, give them opportunities to mingle, to cultivate new relationships, to kind of get mutually beneficial connections as a result of meeting in this kind of informal capacity here at Chelsea Groton. Digital marketing is actually something that I've heard when talking with a lot of business owners was something that kept coming up as a topic that they really wanted to learn more about. I think, you know, as a business owner, you have to know so much about your own industry, but then also you have to do all of these other things. I was actually just talking with one of you about how, you know, there's so many different hats to wear, and digital marketing seems to be one of those topics that is the most intimidating, is sort of for a lot of people in business who don't have that expertise, is one of those topics that they just feel like they can't even dip a toe into because it's very confusing and seems such a big hurdle to overcome. So we thought, what better topic to bring to you than digital marketing kind of made simple, easily packaged, easily digestible, and just gives you an introduction into some of the ways that you can really embark on digital marketing for your own businesses. The other thing I just wanted to mention is when we were first thinking about this, it was a while ago, but as Kristin is presenting, if you want to kind of think about digital marketing through the lens of hiring and attracting talent into your organizations, because in speaking with a lot of business owners, that's one of the biggest challenges that I know that you're all having. So digital marketing can really be leveraged as a tool to bring in you know, candidates for new positions. So I just wanted to kind of maybe think of those concepts within the context of how you're going to bring in some new talent. So the one other thing I'll just mention is that feel free, if you haven't already signed up for a Business Mutual Matters newsletter, if you can go to our website and sign up for that, because we do try to take a lot of these topics, again, that we've heard amongst you are really something that you want to learn more about and put them into a newsletter, key articles and things like that. So it's a great follow-up if you can sign up for that. And so without further ado, I'm very pleased to introduce our own Kristin Brewer. She's our graphic designer and digital specialist at Chelsea Groton. And the one thing I will say in just generally working with Kristin, but also in preparing for this digital marketing presentation, is that Kristin has a real enthusiasm and passion for this topic. So not only is she incredibly knowledgeable on this topic, but she also loves to share her knowledge with those business owners and other individuals who are looking to really kind of get into this field and learn more about it for their own benefit. She's just so excited. So I think you'll see that her enthusiasm comes through, but we're really excited that she's going to be here to present on this topic today. And I just wanted to, before I turn it over to Kristin, mention that afterwards, if you have the time, if you can stay here and we can do a little bit of networking. We want to give, again, the second pillar of the Chelsea Women's Club, giving you the opportunity to really mix and mingle and potentially form some relationships that can be beneficial to you. So after the presentation, you don't have to, there's plenty more pastries and we'd love for you to stick around. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Kristin. Thanks, Kristin. I'll try not to flip on the board.
Yeah, no worries. All right, can everybody hear? I feel like it's a big room. We don't have any music. Normally I like to drop down from the ceiling and just kind of like make a really big splash. But Mystic is absolutely not equipped for me to drop down the ceiling. It is in the budget though for next marketing meetings that we do here for the drop down. So we are going to talk about digital marketing. But first, I think like you need to know who you're even talking to, right? And so the most important thing that you need to know about Kristin Brewer, I am a cat person. And when she says stick around after the meeting, I have thousands of images of cats and I would love to share with you. Sushi is my most favorite food. I could literally eat it every day, sometimes 3 times a day. And if I'm really lucky, 4. And I spend a lot of time consuming some serious sushi. And then the last thing you need to know, I was born to be in graphic design and in marketing. Like I knew I had 2 options in life. One was to be an astronaut or to be a creative person. When I realized how much math was involved in being an astronaut, obviously we're going to go into marketing and be into creative realm. I have been literally doing graphic design and marketing my whole career. I had one maybe 2-year stint working at a florist shop where they immediately took me out of that and put me in marketing. So I'm lucky that I've been able to stay in the field, do all of these things, learn and grow because every day there's something new. So some of the things that we're going to talk about today is going to encompass some of the new things, some of the tried and true things and things that we know absolutely are things you should be thinking about. And so we're going to talk about 5 ways. It's going to sort of be a higher level discussion. Keep in mind, any questions that you have, either jot them down or just keep them tucked away. There's a lot that I'm going to go over, so it's highly likely that I may cover something that you might have a question for when you see something on the slides. So jot them down, and if you're in the chat, feel free as you're thinking about questions to pop them into the chat, and when we're done at the end, Muriel will read them out loud and we'll get some answers for you as well. So many different ways to get your questions written down so that I can answer them. So we're going to go over really neat ways that you can start literally leaving here with takeaways of how you can get into digital marketing and boost your presence, whether you have one or not. You're going to find something useful in this. So we're going to talk about email marketing. Your customers, they already want to hear from you. We're going to talk about social media. It is completely unavoidable and it 100% needs your attention. SEO, I get it, it sounds scary. It's really not. And I'm going to give you a handful of things that you can do immediately to get your website in front of people who actually want to see it. Then we're going to talk about leveraging reviews and influencers. And if you're not familiar with what influencers are, we're going to go over how you can find an influencer, nurture an influencer. There's so many different things that we can do. And then we're going to talk about what I would argue is the most important part to be able to do any of these 5 things, which is the creative content and how you can actually create your content right away by having a focused sort of outline of what you can do. And so I'm going to give you a lot of really great ideas and a lot of really neat ways that you can leverage some really creative content. You're the expert in your field, so like start talking about it. We can do this. So I get it, email marketing. It is one of the absolute most important tools that you have in your toolbox right now. It is a critical element of your marketing strategy, and you need to keep it in the back of your mind every time you're thinking about who you are, what do you want to say, how are you going to get your message out. So these are people who want to hear from you. It is really important collecting up these email addresses and getting your email out. It's about telling your story. It's about promoting your business. It's about highlighting a product, a service, and taking those people that are getting that email and turning them into paying customers. And so we need to start collecting email addresses now. And so you need to use every opportunity. And this is a really great example. There's people here today or people online. You're meeting people right now They're all email addresses. Get them, put them into your database. Use every opportunity you have, even if it means that you have to use the clipboard, lined paper method. Do whatever you can to start collecting addresses from your people. Use your website, maybe make a little sign up, a pop-up block, a button that says sign up now for our newsletter. Start collecting those addresses. Every single address is an opportunity to tell somebody about your business, your service, whatever it is that you're looking to do for your business. Use your social media pages. If you're on social media, maybe work it in to have about a post or so every couple of months, or a post a month saying, hey, sign up for our newsletter. We've got some really great things we want to talk to you about. Social media is a great way to get some information out. As long as you always have a link for them to click and sign up for, you can start collecting those addresses. If you happen to be on a point of sale or have a CRM, and we're not going to go into depth on point of sales or CRMs, although we could totally, just let me know. Use that to leverage and get your email addresses. The basic goal is, no matter where you are, how you're talking, breakfast, lunch, dinner with customers, whatever it is, think about how you're collecting those addresses, because you need to start somewhere. An email going to no one is literally just that. So let's try to get the database growing. And here's the deal. It sounds like it could be really intimidating, right? Like, I have to send an email. What am I going to send? What is this going to look like? Is this going to involve coding? Is this going to be, difficult for me to build? The answer really quickly is no. Let the experts build your website. And by that, I just mean you can go to MailChimp, you can go to Constant Contact. If you have roughly about 2,000 email addresses or less, it's free. So let them do the heavy lifting. So they have easy to use templates where you just make it your own. Say your color's purple, you're gonna make your email have a little bit of purple in there. But they do a lot of drag and drop. So you're not thinking about the difficult parts of having to code an email or any of those challenges. So you can make your newsletters really fun and brand them. Use your logo, use some really fun images. It's pretty easy. I'm not going to go into a deep dive of how you could use your Constant Contact or MailChimp, but just know that they are free tools that you can use as long as your contacts are under roughly about 2,000. If they're over 2,000, it's a very small monthly fee. It all goes on your contacts. But if you're doing what I'm suggesting and collecting those email addresses, hopefully you'll hit that 2,000 even sooner. Now we're going to dive into social media. I understand fully that social media is sometimes intimidating, or it can be so politically charged, or just really anything that you might even feel like you just don't even want your business to be on there, or maybe you feel intimidated. Whatever your feelings, like no matter how you feel about social media, your business, if you want it to grow, you have to get social. You have to get social. Social media marketing can help you speak to audiences in locations and demographics and segments that you wouldn't have a way to reach out to otherwise. If they're not coming into your store, if they're not reading your email, how else can you get your word out? How else can you get your brand out? Social media will allow you to do that, and it will get you in front of the people that you're looking to connect with. So if it comes down to time management, if it comes down to being able to focus on only one channel, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, if it comes down to having to do only one because you're just a one person or you have a very small team, do Facebook. It allows you to do the most, more bang for your buck, and it's related to Instagram. So it's kind of if you do one, you can do the other pretty easily. And with Business Manager, there's a lot of different ways that you can manage your social media account. So even if you just don't want to be on social media, get your business on there. It's not going to be a bad thing, I promise you. You'll get your message out in front of people you'd like. So the most important thing you need to think about when you're thinking about your social media page, whether you have one or you don't, you want to think about your profile as a first impression. People are coming to your profile and they're learning something about you. If you have a spelling error, if you have a weird image that doesn't even relate to your business, that's a first impression. They're going, that's weird. Wonder, am I even in the right spot? Make sure you think about your page or your profile as a really great way to show someone something in a very small moment of time. So make sure it's really accurate. Make sure that your customer information for how they can contact you, where they can find you, what your other profiles or websites, any of those things, make sure that's all very accurate. Leave absolutely nothing to chance and fill out every single part of that profile. Think of your description for your business or how you're introducing yourself. Think about it as a conversation of what you would say in an event that you're networking. Imagine you've just met somebody for the first time and you say, oh, I really would love to tell you a little about my business. I do this, 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 this. I'm really passionate about. So think of social media as a conversation that you're going to have with someone that you haven't met yet. So make it fun and exciting. Try not to have too much shop talk or too much jargon in there. Just be a person, be authentic. Verify your social media page. I'm not going to go into too deep of a dive, but there's very easy, simple processes to get that little check mark. And that little check mark tells people that you're actually a real page. You're not spoofing them. You're not spamming them. It is a verified page. We see this all the time. And the 14 cat pages that I follow are all verified cat pages. So I know every single one of those posts is coming from that cat, which is good. That's what I'm there for. Fill out everything. Make sure you don't have any spelling errors. I know that sounds crazy. Like how would you even have spelling errors? I read this presentation 5,000 times and I still found a spelling error. It happens. You're going fast. You're not thinking about it. Definitely take the chance and the time to do that, because a spelling error for whatever reason can just completely turn people off. So take your time, be thorough, be accurate, have images, and have your content always be about your business. If you're maybe you're a law firm, just maybe don't post all of the images of your food that you had that day or whatever. Think of your business account strictly as your business account and keep those posts to what would your business say if your business was out and about in the community? What would your business say if it was hanging out or networking? Or what would your business say if it was on a big old stage in front of 1 million people? What would it say? That's the kind of tone and the mindset you always want to have when you're thinking about your social media. So here's the thing that is the most important thing that you need to think about. And it's kind of terrifying when you do the math, but literally half of the world's population is on a social media network one way or the other. That's half. So think about the people who don't even have electricity. It's astonishing to imagine that half of the world is on a social media platform. That's just insane. So you got to be there, right? So why do you need to be there? You need to be there because your brand awareness is at stake. Let people know about your business. Getting on social media, on any one of your platforms, it lets them know, hey, I actually have a business that's pretty relevant to you, and I think you could learn a lot about it, and I'd like you to follow my page. Think of social media as a way for you to be as a thought leader. You're an expert in what you do. No one knows it better than you. You know that. That's what makes your business so important. Let the people know on social media that you are the expert. Take the lead. If you know that there's an issue or something that people are constantly concerned about, or a miscommunication or a myth about your business or the area of focus that you have, this is a great place to take ownership of that and lead in your industry because you're the expert. And so posts and content about what you do best is really important because that helps people to know a little bit more about you, a little more about your business. On social media, you can target your audiences. So say your business is tailored to women's fashion, and you run all different sizes. You are definitely into an adult professional women's fashion. You can target your audience to take out some of those audiences that you don't really need to tell about. So maybe you don't need to target, certain, like a male shopper. Maybe you don't need to target youthful, people. You want to really hone in and target fashion towards women, right? So in your area where you are, you can say, well, here's my business bubble, and I'm going to set my audience to be within this bubble. And I would really like to talk to women who are about 25 to 65 because they are my key core audience. Facebook, social media, they let you do that. So the money you spend on there and the posts that you're spending on there, you're able to tell people exactly what you want to say to exactly the target demographic that your business is geared towards. How cool is that? you put an ad in the newspaper, everybody sees it, but maybe not always just your key audience. So just think about the ways that you could leverage being able to really talk to the people that you want to talk to. The other great thing about social media, direct engagement. So what's so cool about that is that people can actually just get right in and interact with your business. So if someone happens to be a big fan, they can literally write you a comment and go, oh my God, I'm so glad you made those shoes in my most favorite color. This is awesome. Or thank you so much for helping me with my finance. I was an absolute mess before I met you. Really good job. They can comment on. So say today we put this post up and we as Chelsea Groton Bank, say we put this up and we say, hey, we have a little digital marketing we wanted to teach people. If we get a comment on there that says, oh, super cool, can't wait to watch the video. We've just now broadened our reach because people are engaging with the post, they're liking, they're hearting, they're whatever, cat emojiing, all of it. They are interacting with your brand. The more people that comment, the more people that like, the bigger your reach is because it grows exponentially by each person who likes it. So it's kind of a big deal, which is also why you want to stay relevant and on target. Although, I mean, you can definitely share a cat picture because I definitely will follow that. Think of social media as real-time support. So what does that mean? That means you can literally deal with any problem, customer related or any issue. Right now we have so many different issues with supply chains or businesses or hours or people. Look at this as a great way to be able to engage directly with people that are putting comments on your posts. Think of it as customer service, only it's strangely digital and you're looking at everybody as if they're just an inch big picture, but they are people. This is a great way. Publicly responding to someone saying, hey, I just went to your store and you totally were out of the shoes that you just did a post on. What a big bummer. You can now comment on that and say, hey, cool. Just so you know though, we're gonna get a little bit of inventory in. I've put your name down. When they come in, we're gonna call you. You're showing everybody your customer service because everyone who's looking at that comment thread is seeing that you've now just said, hey, we'll take care of this, we're calling you. If you have an issue or someone posts a comment that is maybe a little bit too deep or might reveal any customer information, simply put a comment in there that says, hey, I'm gonna be reaching out to you, DM. We'll get you all sorted out, don't you worry. That now tells other people that you're willing to jump in even when someone says something kind of uncomfortable. Think of it as a really great way to provide customer service in the way that you want to. By commenting appropriately and by taking things into DM, the direct messaging, you're kind of taking more control of your customer service and stopping it before you get maybe 5 other posts on there that says, yeah, I came in there for those shoes too, I can't believe they're out, or whatever the comment might be. So think of it as a way to get ahead of an escalation. We know that on social media, people tend to want to leave comments. They may be a little more easier to leave a comment because they're not in person and in front of you. So it will be challenging, but I promise you addressing it on social right away with the right response, 100% will do wonders for your customer service. So to think about social media and email marketing and your business and networking and growing means that we need to think about influencers. This is not new technology or a new thinking or a new principle. What is new is the way that people are leveraging social influencers. And so an influencer is essentially someone who has a large organic following. Now, this doesn't mean that these are people who have like 1 million Instagram followers or come with 1,000 emails. It's just people who, for whatever reason or another, have built up their reputation to be someone trusted in the community and someone beloved in the community, enough so that everything they say usually has higher traffic. So you want to leverage the right people to create a deeper engagement, to get people to understand that, hey, this trusted person is now a partnership with my business and they are advocating for me. There's a lot of different ways and strategies that you can come up for an influencer. So think about, do you have that one employee who's just so super passionate about everything? They go out into the community, they do every volunteer, they're just very well known. Think about maybe leveraging them and asking them if they would like to be a brand ambassador for you. And so that means Maybe they would do a post that says, oh, I'm really excited to meet your business. And today we talked about all of the different ways that I could create a budget or save my debt or whatever it is that your service or business is doing. That person can post out linking to you saying, I just use this service. This is pretty great. Maybe you get involved in a cause. Maybe your business is very closely related to something that's happening now, or a cause, or say maybe you're a community bank and you want to talk about ways that you can help out your community. You want to talk about maybe getting involved in a local shelter or a food pantry. Get in line with that and put your social media networks to work so that both of you and the cause can get out. So your influencer in that case would be the cause that you're aligning yourself with. What if you happen to have a high profile customer who is like literally all about everything you've ever done for them and they are absolute cuckoo bananas for everything you do? Reach out to them and say, hey, would you mind every now and again on your social media sharing out your story and how I helped you, or sharing out this and how my product helped you? Think about leveraging those people that you already have a deep connection for. And they usually stick right out like a mustard blazer in a crowd, okay? They are usually the first ones at all your events, or they're the first ones in your networking, whatever it is. So think about maybe asking them if they could, maybe do a post every now and again in a very organic way. You could also do the same, saying, hey, this business person has benefited from our services, and we had a blast learning all about industry. So think about it that way. Maybe you have an ally. Maybe there's someone else in your business that's not a competitor, but somebody that together you do really great business with. Think about leveraging those relationships and making a connection to create some reputable references and referrals. Maybe you even create a brand ambassador. So if you're a family business and you just happen to have that really lovely outgoing niece, nephew, cousin, whomever it is, and they just really, really love to be social and talk and do things, think about maybe having them act as a brand ambassador. And so that's kind of a fun way to do it. So you have a lot of different options. You have a lot of different avenues. You don't need to just per se have an influencer who's the selfie, or like the someone maybe that you just scroll by yourself on your own profile. Think about developing an influencer. Think about leveraging a relationship. They can influence. So think about the word in itself, not so much about the 40K followers they have. If those 40K people that are following an influencer aren't really interested at all in being a lawyer or having a catering business, it's not good quality leads for you. So do what fits for you and what feels organic. And there are a lot of ways that your influencer can advocate for you. So they could write blogs. They could do vlogs, video blogs. I mean, there's a lot of different ways. They could do Instagram posts. They could do TikTok videos. I totally know that TikTok might sound like absolutely insane, but honestly, it's a really fun platform for you to just like get a little weird and try some things out. 5-second video saying, hey, I'm out here right now, let's do something fun. There's a lot of different ways. You can make tiny little vines and videos, really cool ways to do things. Think about using social media to create a group. I'm sure all of us in one way or another are involved or have been involved in a Facebook group. Maybe your favorite jeweler has a flash sale and you can only be involved if you join in on a Facebook group. I'm involved in several different design groups, about 400 cat groups, 30 different camping and hiking groups, and then like 1 million graphic design, social media marketing. And what's cool about groups is you learn a lot more. It's an authentic place for people to engage with you because they're really invested. They're so invested that they joined your group. That's awesome, right? So use your Facebook group as a way to talk to them in a deeper level. So this isn't just putting out an ad and saying, hey, come into me, come check out these things, you're gonna like this. This is now talking to people who have already said they have an interest. So you can say, I need you guys to help me choose my next decision. Should I do my next talk here, here, or here? Hit it up in the comments and let me know. Really great ways for you to talk and engage and create a deeper connection. I love Facebook groups for this reason. Imagine you could have an influencer takeover. So what does that mean? You're literally going to hand off your social media account. Sounds scary, I know, but you're going to trust the influencer. And this person's going to take over your social media for a day. Maybe it's 2 days, whatever feels right for you. And so they are literally going to say, hey, Kristin here. I just took over Chelsea Groton Bank's Facebook page. And I'm going out into the community and I'm going to ask every business around here, have you heard of this purple bank? And stay tuned, look in the feed. You're going to see my journey for the whole day. That's really fun. So you would literally just walk into the businesses, ask them if they can take a selfie with you, and they'll talk about advocacy. They'll talk about their relationship to Chelsea Groton Bank or to whatever your business is. So it's a really fun and neat way to imagine how you can leverage your social medias and how they can have such big influence and how they can advocate all these different channels and places to just talk about it. It's pretty interesting. All right, I put this topic in the middle, and I did this on purpose because it's not sexy and it's going to take a little bit. I'm going to give you an overview, and I'm not going into the weeds because this can take forever. So I'm just going to tell you search engine optimization, SEO, sounds intimidating. Imagine it's just making your website better for Google. Let's just say it that way. Because we all know if you're looking at the internet, it's Google, right? Like we all know it's just Google. So it's basically making your website better for the internet. There's over 1 billion websites in existence right now. And I'm sure since I typed that statistic 2 weeks ago, maybe we're at 4 billion. It's insanity. That's a lot of websites. So with that many websites, how do you get yours in front of somebody? Like, that's a lot of chatter. That's a lot of websites. So there's a lot of different ways that you can maximize your webpage to get those people. If you do not have an SEO strategy or do not have thoughtful, mindful, purposeful content, your website is literally being flung out in the middle of the internet universe and no one's finding it. So if you target your audiences, if you make some smart SEO choices, your website's now going to get in front of the people that you actually want it to get in front of. You can literally cut out a handful, several billion people and the 1 billion websites. And now you can get your website right in front of the people that you wanted to talk to in the first place. So there's just 4 easy ways, right? Just four easy ways to get started. And so search intent. Make your website content match the search intent of your user. What does that mean? Is your content, your website, is it supposed to be informational? Is it navigational? Is it commercial, transactional? When a customer tries to type your business and they go into the chat to say, lawyers near me, what are they doing? They're looking for a service, right? So maybe you gear that conversation to be informational. Maybe they're saying, where is a bank next to me? That would be a navigational content. You want to think about all of these things in your head. When you imagine your customer is looking for you, what are they putting into the chat? You do it all day long into the search box. You do it all day long when you're looking for things. Just the other day, I was trying to find a nice, comfortable pair of wedge shoes, which you can tell I totally love shoes because it's like comes up every time. And I just was great shoes next to me. And I got all these neat little shoe stores. So that was kind of cool. So then I got onto the website and I got served a nice little ad that said 10% off. Totally used it twice. Think about your website titles, and that's your URL, your little, chelseagrotonbank.com/whatever. Think about when you're making your pages, make smart title choices. So don't have a run-on sentence. You have about 50 to 60 characters to make this make sense and have Google read it. So as a quick example, if we were to say, we want you to open an account, we wouldn't say open an account for a new customer. We would say open account. Take out the and. Keep it short, keep it simple, keep it clear. The less confusion you have about what your website page's intent is, the easier it will be for Google to say, that's a good page. This customer wants it, putting them together. That's what we're looking for. Your meta descriptions, I get it. Meta description sounds like, oh my good gosh, what are we talking about? It's simply just when you're looking at the description, it will literally say on either your website or anywhere that you're building your site, it'll say your meta description. Imagine when you're on Google and you've just now typed in 25 best cat memes for 2021. You know how you see the URL title of the page come up? Directly underneath that is about 2 sentences. It's roughly about 155 to 160 characters. Those 2 sentences you control. You can say anything you want to say there. So make it a very tiny, short, succinct description of what that web page right there is all about. So if you're a local community bank, you're going to say local community bank serving area. local lawyer serving area. Think about what that page is about. And if you only had 2 sentences to tell me what that whole web page is about, that's what you're putting in that description. It's essentially a pitch, a small little baby pitch, to get somebody to click on that link and to go onto that web page. And optimize your images. What does this mean? Don't put huge images up. Put images that are rightfully sized for the online platform that you're using. Make sure they're relevant. They can always be cat images, but they also need to be images that are about your business. So try to be mindful that all of your images somehow make someone think about the industry you're in or the community you serve. It needs to be a way to make a visual relationship. You want to also make sure that you have the right file extension. Keep those images small. It sounds insane that a file extension, meaning JPEG, PNG, a PNG file on the website is actually a bigger file than a JPEG. So keep them to JPEGs, keep them smaller. Don't put up those 400 megapixel photos that you just took at this new fair. Keep them smaller. Follow the guidelines that the website says. Your website will load faster. There's nothing worse than when you have to bounce out of a website because it just took forever to load. We've all been there. How many times have you just said, I don't have the patience for this. I'm moving on. I'm going to the next page. I'm going to go do something else. So be mindful of the ways that you're putting your information into your site. Everything you do matters. Your titles, your descriptions, your meta tags, and it all matters. There's nothing, no such thing as a frivolous word. Well, except maybe and. And is a frivolous word on Google. They don't even register it. But think about it in that way. Don't have unknown JPEG. Don't have unknown titles. If you do nothing else and you don't have a website, or you don't even have the energy to do the website, or you just like plain just don't want to deal with it, engage and leverage your Google My Business. And literally it is on the website on Google. When you Google something, inevitably your business or a business or some business, ice cream will give you that list of ice cream places. Lawyers will give you the list of lawyers based on where you are and what you're searching. So your business is either already on there or has already been created by enough people, or maybe a previous, someone set it up real quickly for you. Whatever your situation is, you can either claim or create. We're not going to get into claiming or really creating your Google My Business, because that could be like a whole other chat. But it is important because we know that Google is the biggest thing out there, right? Like, and mostly everybody is, hinging on Google. So get your Google My Business page up to date. Complete every section of it. Do not leave any boxes blank. Any boxes blank is a handshake you're not making, is confusion. It could be anything. Do not take that opportunity. Be thorough, be accurate, talk and stay focused on exactly your business and your customer intent and what you want from them. Keep good photos on there. Again, relevant to your business, nothing weird or something that makes sense to you in your industry, but won't make sense to your customers searching. And the best part, get Google reviews. So your Google reviews gets connected to that Google My Business. So there's a million different ways that you can get good reviews or start collecting your Google reviews. You can do it through posts. You can do it through a little sign on your thing that says, hey, did you have a good experience? Scan this QR code and leave me a good Google review. Post on your Google My Business page. Put a post up there. Tell your announcement. Do you have an offer? Do you have a a new day? Are you opening on a Saturday for a flash sale? Or do you want to have an informal session? Do you want to, whatever it is, post on your Google My Business page. Think about it as an extremely relevant, timely social channel where it is all about getting your business. A million years ago, we used to have phone books, and that's how people looked it up. That is what Google My Business essentially is your opportunity to make sure that customers can reach you, find you digitally and in person, contact you, whatever it is. So stay relevant, ask for reviews. And if you're afraid of just flat out throwing a cast out there to get reviews, ask those that you definitely know had a really great experience. They wouldn't mind just maybe writing a little review. So work on some of the optimization, but if nothing else, get your Google My Business profile up to speed and control it yourself so that you're not leaving it to chance for anyone else. Creative content. So we've talked about all of these different ways, right? Through social media, through email, through whatever. None of these things make sense if you don't have really great content, right? So if you don't have anything to post, what are you going to say? So there's like a lot of ways, like right now, even today, that you can start being more mindful about your content and what do you want to say. And so first thing you need to think about with creative content is know your audience. Who is it that is relying on your business, service, or product? You know who they are. And if you don't know who they are and it's a wide net, then that's your audience. But think about it. And then think about what would you say if you had all of those people literally in front of you, right? There's so much to say. So know your audience and keep that hat on when you're trying to create your content. Find your voice. So what do I mean by voice? What would your brand sound like if it just literally walked into a coffee shop and was like, hey, I'm Brand, and I'd like to tell you about my services if you're willing. What does your brand sound like if it was a person? What would it sound like if it was hanging out with you or you just sat down on a bus and it's sitting next to you? Think about your voice. Develop it. If there's a million websites out there that are doing your service or saying your service and you just have absolutely no idea how to say it different, voice. That's your differentiating factor. Say it more funny than they are. Say it in a really different way if you have a service that's competing with other things. So find your voice, keep it consistent, and use that voice. The longer you use that tone and the voice and the words that you're saying, the more easier it will become, and you will find yourself totally channeling your brand as easy as if you were introducing yourself to friends or new people. Keep it simple. If you have to explain in like 4 paragraphs what it is that you're trying to communicate to your people, it's already too long. Stop. Think about it simple. So imagine that you're talking to people that need your service, but they don't know that they need it, or they don't know that they are not doing something well. How would you say that to them really gently in a small time frame? Hey, I'm a lawyer and I just heard you talking about that problem in this networking place. I would really love to talk with you more about that. Let me help you. Come into my office. Let's chat. That conversation that you would say in person actually makes a really great social post or makes a really great beginning to some content. Variety. If you only have one thing you can talk about, say it a million different ways, but variety. Keep it spicy. Keep it fresh. Speak in an image one day, maybe put a really wonderful, relevant quote. Think about what would you do if you were gonna write an article on something. Just keep all of these things in mind. If all else fails, please resort to humor every single time. Nothing is cooler than when people, business says something or writes a content piece or whatever, and it is just riddled with some funny things. It is amazing. So sprinkle it in there. If you really, really want to go down a rabbit hole of people who are really doing some fun things, look at fast food chains on Facebook. The way that they talk and the way that they, their tone and they develop their voice. In particular, big fan of the way that Wendy's does their social media. Their social media connects also to the emails that they send out to you. And it connects to the content that they have on their website. It's all relating. So you feel very much like their voice. You just know who Wendy's is, like they're your best friend. So really great ways to learn about an industry, maybe about people who are leveraging really good content, but maybe aren't in your industry. Look to the fast food chains. Huge amount of competition. They're all trying to do the same thing and they all sound so different. It's really fun. So especially Wendy's, KFC, and Taco Bell. I am not affiliated or get paid by them, but their social media is really awesome and their content for their newsletters really great. So you can draw a lot of inspiration. The most important part, I saved this for the last, the most important part, be authentic. Do not say something that you have to figure out what the heck you said or what it was that you had said because maybe it wasn't 100% you, or you didn't feel confident in saying that and someone then asks you about it 3 weeks later and you're going, maybe I said that. What I meant was, if you ever have to say what I meant was, or go into a really long description about what it is you're trying to communicate, just take a step back and go, okay, hold on. I am my business. I would describe it as this, or I would like to talk to you about this. Just be really authentic, say things that matter to you, connect to things that matter to you, that no matter where you are and who you are, you'll always know that you're centered. You gave it your best, you're doing your best work. Keep your content always authentic. It is a huge differentiator. It helps you with that voice and the brand awareness that we're talking about. All of these things are connected, which is why I say it'll be kind of easy once you start, right? Because they'll all be in the works. So you get a chance to uniquely showcase your business product or service. You can do this many different ways. You can make quick videos. It is crazy, right? To imagine that you're going to do something without like this huge agency level video production. Scrap that on the budget. You don't need it. You know what you need? You need your smartphone and your product. Walk through your offices and say, hey, I'm Kristin. I'm taking a quick walk through my office and I just wanted to introduce you to Janice over here. She has been working really hard for whatever it is that you do. And you just make a really quick video. Why don't you stop by? Janice likes her coffee light and sweet. Drop her a coffee. Something fun and weird, right? Like, why would anyone even put that on there? But make quick videos. If you have a warehouse, if you have a process, if you've got teams, whatever you have, ask them if you can take a little video of them while they're working, or ask if you can take a video of one of your products, or if you're a lawyer, and I only go back to the lawyer because I hear it a lot, I get asked that a lot. Well, I'm a law firm, I don't know how to be fun, or I don't know how to make lawyering, that's a thing, right? Yes. I don't know how to make lawyering work for me. How can I think outside of the box? These are all different ways that you can think outside the box. There's a lot of different content things. So if you happen to be an authority in whatever industry that you do, write about it. What are the most questions you get asked about? Think about each one of those questions that your customers ask you. That's a topic that you can write on. They want to know about it. Why not lead with authority? Tell them what it is. Write these pieces. And then take photos, like a lot of photos. I know that sounds crazy, but the more images and photos you have, the easier it will be for you to think about your digital marketing footprint. Keep in mind, this is digital, right? They're not in your business yet. They haven't come through those doors. They haven't called you. They haven't responded to an email. You're trying to lure them in. So do it with really great photos. And I'm not talking about having to get an agency photo quality. Do it yourself. Take some really neat snaps. Look at Instagram. Look at all these places where you see other industries. Use them as inspiration to take your photos. You will find that it's actually easier than you think. And you already have everything you need right in front of you. So snap a lot of photos. Think about it all the time, everywhere you're at. Is this a good time for me to take a photo? Is this a good time for me to get a review, or maybe get a comment or a testimonial, get a picture with somebody and say, here's their testimonial. Think about it in that way. You're in marketing, you're never off. You're just not ever off. Every opportunity with everything you do, you're on. And these are the ways that you can do that. Use your content to answer questions. Does someone have a problem? Is there a common myth? Whatever. Make a content piece surrounding that comment, surrounding a myth, maybe you get asked the same question every single time and you're like, I gotta clear this industry issue up because this has nothing to do with it, but I get asked this all the time. Lead with the authority, reviews, testimonials, demonstrate everything, bust a myth. There's a million ways you can answer questions and think about it in that way. So if none of this sticks and you want to start really doing a little bit of a deep dive or get a newsletter or learn more about it, there's some really great places. Some of it might be, maybe seems like it might be too deep of a dive, but figure out what works for you. If you do no other newsletter from here, Social Media Examiner, go onto this website, subscribe to everything that they will subscribe to. You will find that you will read at least 1 to 2 comments or posts on that newsletter that will be 100% relevant to you or spark an idea. It is a really great resource. I use this resource a lot to stay on top, to stay knowledgeable. Constant Contact, MailChimp, they are free services. Sign up for their newsletter because they have great tips, like really great tips. HubSpot's marketing blog is really, really great. Sometimes they will have industry newsletters, so you might find that your industry might fall in a place where you can get a newsletter actually geared in towards your industry. So sign up for marketing newsletters and save. Also, pro tip, sign up for your competitors' marketing newsletters as well so you can see what they're doing. Maybe just don't use your business name, but maybe your personal address. I know it might sound a little shady, but it's not. That's what they're doing as well. So do some research, find your content, clean that lens off on the back of your camera and take a lot of photos. So I think with that, if anyone has any questions, well, either online or in person, let's have at them. Do you want to start with maybe the chat?
I don't
Yeah.
have anything in chat right
Perfect.
now, but it might in a minute.
All right,
So-
we might spark some creativity. What about anyone here? Do we have any questions or topics, things we want to cover? Sure.
I have a question, which is for search engine optimization, are there any tools in terms of trying to figure out what search terms are common within a particular industry?
Yes.
You referenced like attorneys. Is there some sort of way to find out what people are Googling to find attorneys?
Yeah, so there's really neat tools actually within Google. You can, if you go on to Google, you can search down at the bottom for the newsletter. The URL is way too long for me to have put it in here, but Google Trends, Google Keywords, those things will pull up. You can put your industry in there and they'll give you some of those search terms. There's really neat ways for you to see what it is. If you are an attorney, most of those search terms or search keywords, you probably already know what they are because that's how most people come to you. Sometimes the more refined your industry is, the almost the easier it is to come up with your keywords. As an example for our bank, we are we do so much that, and we have access to like all of these different keywords. Sometimes our keyword strategy has to be a little more specific. So we have to search it out, put things into channels because we're a bigger industry and cover a wide swath of things from money to the community. And that's a lot in the middle. So sometimes the more refined your actual industry is, the easier it is for you to figure out what your keywords are or how to say things. So think about that too. And also think about what would you Google if you were to Google your industry, like, and you had no idea what you were talking about, like need lawyer, whatever it is, you know, think about these things and the questions and phrases. Those are all very important. Any other questions?
What about hashtags?
My God. Okay. So hashtags. I purposely did not bring up a lot of hashtags because hashtags usually is a better interactive discussion because love them or hate them, they're like literally gospel. I have like 4 t-shirts with hashtags on them and I wear them all the time. So a hashtag is essentially an organized way to have to search. Think of it that way on social media. So I do, I'll use my own example. I am an avid food preservationist and I do a lot of classes and I do a lot of things surrounding food. And so I have a hashtag that I love to use called What's Fresh. And I can see on that hashtag that there's no other people that are using that hashtag like me, but that hashtag has a lot of followers. So the bandwidth for that is a small bit. So what happens, what do I mean by that? Someone can put in on a hashtag What's Fresh in Facebook. You're going to get all the posts that say what's fresh. Using hashtags for your own marketing is really fun if you want to drive people to either your specific content or a specific topic or something you care about, and you want to broaden your reach. Ironic hashtags, although fun, mean nothing, just for the record, that you're not going to get anybody looking at it. And what do I mean by ironic hashtag? I mean, my coffee is too sweet, no one's ever going to see me at this coffee shop. Or new glasses, who dis? Like random, weird, ironic hashtags where people are using them to be funny. They won't go anywhere. They're great to make people laugh for sure. And you definitely can use them as a part of your strategy, but you also want to think about leveraging some strategies. So say you're taking a cause, and that cause, like say it's Habitat for Humanity, you could do your post saying, I'm helping out with this, or I'm involved in the community, hashtag Habitat for Humanity, hashtag banking, in the community, something like that. You can search hashtags too to see what is the most trending hashtag to use. Leverage that, because anyone searching those hashtags, your posts within the geographic area, they're going to come up. So it is a great way to get seen. It's just a different way of thinking, mostly used on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, although it can be searched on the other social media platforms, but Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram are actually designed to pick up on hashtags. So they're really fun, and make your own. And when you do, put it on everything that you have, just a nice little hashtag, whatever it is that you would like to do, start your own trend but use it all the time. Don't change it up too much. Yeah, good question. I also could talk like a lot about hashtags. I love it.
Kristin,
Yeah.
if someone did not have a digital presence at all, what's the very first thing they should do just to get started?
Website, because if you do nothing else, you have no place to drive people to, right? So even if you build a one-paged website, which is very easy to do, have your basic information. You can have a social media presence. You know, my easy answer to that is, I guess, build your website. But if you didn't want to do a website, absolutely Facebook, like 100%, because Facebook still happens to be one of the biggest ways to get in front of the most people. It's not going away. And I know it's not the cool kids or trendy thing, but it's definitely of value. So if you don't want to do if you don't want to do a website, do Facebook for your business, for sure. And Google will still crawl that and pull that information. But do both if you could, please.
And Yelp, Google My Business, those are all free, right?
Yeah, so all those things, they, for the most part, are free for your listing. The reason why I said Google My Business in particular is because it's a really great way to get your information out, and it's a really great way to get crawled, which means Google is literally crawling through every single web page to make sure that it's indexing it correctly. And so having an optimized page for your Google My Business helps your Yelp, which is, you know, basically, are you all familiar with Yelp? I'm assuming, so it just basically helps inform those pages. Yelp will sometimes build profiles for a business if a lot of people are searching or checking in or whatever. So essentially, the reason why I say control your information, make it your website, the reason why I say those things is because that information is what is fueling and informing so many other places. So if you don't have a website, it's just going to be blank on Google, or not. They may not even bother picking you up at all outside of a location where someone could go visit you. So it really is important to have at minimum a one-page website with your information, and then at minimum connect that to a Facebook page and a Google My Business. If you did nothing else but those three things, you will be doing yourself a huge service because you will be visible by Google and all of the other search engines.
And you don't want someone else to claim your business, right?
Yeah, it's hard for people to claim your business who aren't you, because the verification steps, you just won't have the answers to that, and you won't have that information. But someone could technically say they've been to your business, and that will pop up on Google. It's not difficult to do. You can literally Google claim my business on Google, and it will give you all of the steps to do that. The other option that you can do is literally create your Google My Business, link it, verify it. That secondary page will end up getting pushed, or you can report it and say, this isn't my page. So the reason why I didn't want to go into a deep dive on that is that answer is actually kind of complicated. There's a bit of a strategy depending on whether or not you have claimed your business or started a business or someone else did it for you. There's a lot of different ways to do it. It's not difficult to disentangle and be verified, because you are you, and the other businesses are not literally you. So you can claim your own business. Yeah, it's pretty good stuff. We have a couple of different topics coming up too, where we can make sure that our calendars are up to date, but we have a bunch of different events and things coming up where we can talk a little more in depth. So, no other questions? Oh, yeah.
Improve over time, so like we're doing a little more of that than we ever did before, and so you know, I think kind of some of us are thinking it happens overnight, and you know, I don't.
It could happen overnight, but you'd have to have not slept for 5 nights, I think. But it does improve. Every bit of work that you're doing, you know, Google is crawling the internet, which sounds so weird to say, but they are crawling the internet constantly. And so any changes that were made within 48 hours, typically, Google will start registering that as, oh, there's an improved meta tag, there's an improved title, and you'll do better and rank higher. The reason that SEO is the most important is it gets you to, you're searching for a business, you want to show up, what they used to call above the fold, which basically means, old school term for the newspaper, your information needs to be right there, right? So the website Google shows the same way. So it's like 10 businesses that get listed, and then it turns to the Google, that thing, you want to show up in there for your industry. And that's harder than it sounds for sure. But the more work you do to optimize, the more you'll move up. And so you'll see maybe you were 4 O's down in the Google. Maybe now you've made it to the second page. Keep working. You can only do too little. You will never do enough, and it will never end. The more content you put out there is another opportunity to optimize. The more stuff you do is another opportunity to make sure. When you are thinking about SEO and digital marketing, when you constantly do everything that you do with this mindset of marketing, how can I leverage this? How can I use this? All of these things will become so much easier to you because you're already thinking about, if I could only tweet this, post this, email this, write this, what would it all look like? And it will become much easier. SEO is the same way. You'll start thinking about it differently, but you can only do too little. You'll never be able to do too much. Awesome. I need coffee.